Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today, this is the second time recording it because for some reason the audio did not pick up and I am so angry because the video was just, I was on pace and everything was great and everything was working out fantastic, and so now I'm going to be more condensed with it. It was a 10-minute video and now this is probably going to be less than 10 minutes because I just hate having to record things more than once and it just is very frustrating. But anyway guys, as you can see up here, the current estimates for this weekend is that Endgame is going to make around $850 to $900 million, meaning that this film, if this indeed underestimates the number of people showing up on the day to see a movie, could potentially make $1 billion. Now why do I say that? Because remember, this is mostly based off of pre-sales and estimates about what they think, what the so-called experts think a movie's going to make opening weekend and how many people are actually going to show up opening weekend that have not already pre-bought their tickets. If the number is, basically undermined or is basically underestimated, what that means is that this film very well could reach close to the $1 billion territory. Now the question is going to be asked, how is this the case? Well, there's obviously a couple things. For one, this is the 22nd film in a gigantic franchise that's been it's taken 11 years for them to be able to build, for them to be able to put together in this way. So this is a film that a crap ton of people are already going to go see. Me and Freya are already going to see this on on Thursday night, 6 p.m., one of the earliest showings in the entire nation, at least in the United States. I know there's many other people that are going to be able to see it even as early tomorrow for many people across the world as well, since it's opening in early showing early showtimes for some other countries. But what are some other factors that might be helping this film get to that $1 billion mark? What are some things that might be helping it out? Well, it's going to force us to talk about movies like Captain Marvel, but also to talk about films like Aladdin and what they're doing to try and help those films overall make a lot of money. So let's talk about Captain Marvel first off. It says, Disney requires theaters to show Captain Marvel during Avengers Endgame Thursday preview. Now, why is this the case? Well, many studios do this. This is not exclusive to Disney. This is not exclusive to even just Captain Marvel. What this means is that they know a lot of people are already going to be trying to see that first showing of Endgame, and so many people might try and go see Captain Marvel since it is the latest of the Marvel films to go out there, meaning that they're trying to do the very best they can to not only make as much money for Captain Marvel as they can, because that means more money for them, but also because they know that it's going to be more likely for this film to be a number 2 type film on the Thursday box office, since already Endgame is going to be number 1 based on the fact that everyone and their mom is going to go see it on Thursday evening at this point. But other things and other factors needed to be taken into a place, and that is actually made very clear thanks to our boys over at Bounding Into Comics by them pointing out that Aladdin, yes indeed, the Aladdin, the live action film that nobody asked for, is having half of all of its showtimes in the 3D format. As it says, Aladdin runtime and when tickets go sale announced 50% of theaters to have 3D showings. So what does this mean? Well, let's say that you have across the country, across the United States, 100 screens. Now, obviously, it's a hell of a lot more than that, but let's just say for the sake of argument, just trying to explain what this actually means. So 100 screens, 100 actual show times across the United States. That means that 50% of them are going to be in 3D, and 50% of them are going to be in 2D, potentially also maybe in IMAX or a Dolby that might not actually be taken into account. But let's just assume that it's only 50-50. Well, keep in mind that maybe the average ticket price for a 2D showing is around maybe $10 across the United States. The average showing for a 3D might be closer to $15. So what does that do? What that means is that if you take all of those numbers and add them together, the average ticket price is going to be much, much higher than if you were just to have 100 showtimes all in the 2D format. So what does this mean? It means that you can sell less tickets and still make up more revenue. This is exactly what they did with Captain Marvel. With Captain Marvel, what they did was they had so many showtimes, not 50% of them, but had a lot more than what is normal shown in the 3D format. And by doing that, it made the average ticket price go up, meaning that they did not need as many individual ticket sales to actually be able to make money. And that's really, I think, where the discussion needs to be had, is I really want these sites not to just give me raw numbers, because these numbers can easily be manipulated. I want to know the actual individual ticket sales, because that does not take into account the overall inflation, does not take into account the overall average ticket price. It just says how many individual tickets were sold. This is the reason why films like, for example, Gone with the Wind still always win out when you do adjust for inflation, because the number of individual tickets sold for Gone with the Wind, over 50, 60 years ago was so much higher than any other film that is currently being sold today, which is why it is still conceived to be the highest grossing film of all time, beating out even films like Avatar because of those individual ticket sale prices. Now, obviously, why would Disney want to be doing this? Well, they would want to do it because not only do they want all of their films to make money like Aladdin and Captain Marvel, but I guarantee you what they're trying to do is they want they want Endgame to be the #1 highest grossing film. They want this to be the film that beats that Avatar. And you know what? It very well could be the last film that has the chance to do so. This is a film that if it makes $1 billion opening weekend, or at least gets close to $1 billion opening weekend, could potentially get close to that $3 billion number. And if that happens, not only does it become the highest grossing film of all time, but also it could potentially be the last film to ever have the chance to make that much money. Why do I say this? Well, think of this in mind. Most people nowadays would rather stay at home with their Netflix, would rather stay at home and spend very little on popcorn and on drinks, be able to stop the movie, go to the bathroom. They would much rather have that sense of convenience, and things like Netflix, Hulu, eventually Disney Plus allow them to do this. Rather than going to the theater and paying way too much for a ticket, paying way too much for popcorn and drinks, and also having to deal with idiots on their phones, talking to each other, etc. And also, of course, sometimes individual theaters don't do the best job of cleaning their seats or providing the best movie-going experience in general. Now, I personally still love the theater because nothing can beat the sound or the image that you see when you actually go to a movie theater. But I really do think that this is honestly the sign that we might finally be getting to the end, because also, how much longer are they going to be able to try and inflate the prices and increase the average ticket price overall, and people still show up to it? You know, they're trying to do this with Aladdin, but honestly, I don't think Aladdin is a sure thing to even make its money back at this point, because I don't think a lot of people are going to go see it. So even if the overall ticket price, because of these 3D showings, is higher than, let's say, a movie like Alita Battle Angel, where even then a lot of those screenings were in 3D, and the average ticket price might be higher for Aladdin than it was for Alita, the fact remains that more individual tickets will probably end up having been sold for Alita than for this movie. Now, obviously, I don't have anything to base this off of because this film hasn't come out yet, but I'm trying to merely show you kind of an example that even though the average ticket price might be higher, if no one goes to it, it doesn't matter what the average price is because no one's going to see it. With things like, you know, with Marvel's Captain Marvel, what you had there, with the MCU's Captain Marvel, what you had was you had a film that some people were going to see, and I would say probably an average number of people went to go see, but because the average ticket price was higher because of the 3D showings, because of the multiple showings, you know, and having it be pretty much everywhere, what it ended up doing was it ended up creating the environment, the perfect scenario for that film to be guaranteed profit, and actually that's why it made up over $1 billion, but also it's the reason why that after the first 2-3 weeks, it stopped making money. I mean, think about it. Look at the numbers now. It just stopped making as much money as it was because no one's really going to see it. And they've already set that film for success because guess what? That's going to be the first MCU film to be released on the Disney Plus streaming service, which means that they already have an excuse written into the stars as to why the Blu-ray might not sell as much. But how does this tie back into Endgame and to the future of the, for the Disney movies coming out? Well, as you can see, they're now trying to solely rely on inflating the ticket prices so much that they basically are able to fake success. Which is again why I really wish there was a way for us to look at individual tickets sold, because I think that would tell us a much different story. What are y'all's thoughts about this? Do you think that Aladdin is going to make money because now half of its showtimes are going to be in 3D? Do you think that Captain Marvel is going to make more money because everyone and their mom is going to want to see this right before seeing Endgame, right? No. No, not at all, because Endgame's going to be 3 hours, and no one wants to see a crappy C-level film with a D-level character with a F-level actress behind it as well, who's so full of herself. No one really wants to see that before seeing the 3 hours, which should hopefully be amazing cinematic experience given to us by the Russo brothers, and unfortunately one of the last times the Russo brothers are going to give us an MCU film, because let's just be honest, they've been some of the best things to happen to the MCU in a very long time. But what do you think the overall box office numbers are going to be? As I said, unfortunately this is the second time I had to record this, so I hope everything made sense. It made so much more sense in the first one, but without audio, there's nothing that you can do. But anyway, guys, if you like this video, smash the like button, give me a subscribe, it helps me out a lot. Also, check out my affiliate links down for Amazon.com. If you shop over there, click on those links, it helps me out a lot. You can also get some free stuff like audiobooks and also a free trial membership to Amazon Prime. And also, I do get a little bit of that. It helps out the channel. I don't know any of the information. I don't get any of the information about what you're buying or anything to that effect. I just get a little bit of a kickback anytime that you use the links and buy within 24 hours, or if you use my links to sign up for those services. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for being amazing people. What do you think the final number for the opening weekend of Endgame is going to be? I honestly think it's going to get very close to $1 billion, but of course, we will have to wait and see. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.